LDComics is a women-led, welcoming to all forum run by creators. We champion the graphic novel form, particularly works with an autobiographical voice. Our activity is towards supporting and equipping graphic novelists, especially but not exclusively people identifying as women. Established in 2009 by Sarah Lightman and Nicola Streeton as Ladies Do Comics, today LDComics is run by a committee of published graphic novelists: Rachel Ball, Emma Burley, Lou Crosby, Wallace Eates and Nicola Streeton. From the start, the core of LDC's activity has been the monthly meetings, hosting presentations from invited guests to a public audience in a welcoming atmosphere for networking and making friends. The introduction of LDC online monthlies aims to replicate the joy and stimulation of our physical meetups. Everyone is welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maureen Burdock. I'm super pleased to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Lou and Wallace and LDC Comics. Really lovely to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to do my best to speak loudly because I have kind of a quiet voice, so bear with. The Way of the Snail, this is me. My work lives at the intersection of graphic memoir, research, embodied experience, migration, and process. I really believe in drawing as a way of thinking and of mapping the self in connection and path making in motion. Today I'll share a little bit about why and how I make comics. I'll talk about my two recent graphic novels, graphic memoirs, and I'll give you a brief overview of my process and approach to mentoring and teaching. I'll show, like I said, the two projects, how they came into being, and how I think about comics as a way of thinking rather than just a finished object. This is a spread from a recent journal, visual journal, and I did this as I was thinking through my family's imminent and permanent departure from the US to resettle in Europe. We live in Ireland now. I reflect by drawing, writing, and painting first thing in the morning. We were talking just before we started here, and a couple of us have very, very early circadian rhythms, so getting up at 4 in the morning is totally typical. And I love to do this as a way of orienting myself first thing every day. It's a central part of my life and of my creative practice, and it has been since I was about 8 or 9 years old. This is where ideas are allowed to emerge organically in my visual journals. I eventually shape some of these into stories, short comics, or long-form works. For me, drawing and writing in tandem help me map myself in time and space. The practice helps me stay with complexity and gain insight. It helps me to make sense. It helps me to make connections and form a bridge between the worlds of ideas, dreams, embodied experiences, and the world in and around me. This private space allows me to take my time working through thoughts without coming to premature conclusions. I can be slow and take care and experiment and play in the visual journals. I don't need to push for productivity or finished product here, and that's become increasingly important to me. Let's see. And now it doesn't want to switch slides. Here we go. The first project I want to talk about is Queen of Snails, which came out in 2022 with Graphic Mundi. This is my graphic memoir. At its core, Queen of Snails is a coming-of-age story about learning to become myself through sustained attention to my own body and emotional truths, to the more-than-human world, and to the cultural forces that helped shape my perception and identity. The book traces my childhood and early adulthood as I was displaced from Germany very suddenly and quite violently at age 7. Through questions of gender, belonging within my own body, my family, the two nations I was growing up between, and the world at large. The story traces my own and my family's migrations and shows rather than explains transgenerational memory. Rather than unfolding in a linear way, the story builds meaning through observation and returns with recurring motifs like snails that you see here, seeds, geology, flight, uprootedness, and then seeking home again, weaving the personal, familial, ecological, and historical together. It mattered to me to make this book because these kinds of formative experiences rarely spring from the mind as clear stories. Gendered becoming, inherited histories, and migration are lived as embodied, layered, and ongoing processes, not neat story arcs. I wanted to make a comic that could hold all of that interweaving, one that values attentiveness as a practice, trusts accumulation over resolution, and treats noticing and embodied perception as serious forms of knowledge. Queen of Snails is structured as a series of episodes rather than one long plot-driven story. And this is a braid that I drew as I was beginning to think about the project. It shows how my own personal lived experiences are interwoven with my familial experiences and then cultural and historical strands that affected my family and me. Like I said, certain motifs keep resurfacing, so the braid makes a really good kind of container for the work, showing how things are interwoven and continually return. The structure mirrors the experience the book is giving witness to. Also, change happens slowly in fragments, and understanding comes not through resolution, but through accumulation and through this interweaving. The first half of this graphic novel was my dissertation in cultural studies at the University of California, Davis. I began it with the intention of making a hybrid book, but a year in, I realized how staying true to the comics form would be so much more powerful and more powerfully support the content, the epitome of showing and not telling, and a way to address trauma and difficulties in more nuanced ways, balanced with humor and embodied resistance and resilience. I decided to undergird the work with a simple 6-panel grid. I chose to use brushes to lay down washes and layers of India ink rather than pens, except for hand lettering, for a more fluid and layered feel and minimal color. These choices felt appropriate to reflect the fluidity and impreciseness of memory, which is an important theme in the work. Rather than simply retell my own and my family's oft-repeated stories of displacement and trauma, I was attuned to the gaps in my family's narratives and in my own understanding of events, motives, and meaning. I wanted to approach these tales and the holes in them with careful attention, my observations linked to context and then gleaned from research. So from memoir to research, I love doing research and making connections from my own lived experiences to those of others and to the world at large. Queen of Snails had a liberating effect on me. After my mother's death, which happened just before the book was finished, and the publication of this graphic memoir, I felt able to put the troubling events of my early years to rest in a meaningful way. I wanted to use a similar process to approach something that was still bedeviling me. Chronic insomnia that I'd struggled with since early childhood, probably in large part tied to early childhood trauma. The philosophy of slowing down and grounding myself, the snail's eye perspective, is at the heart of this next book, which just came out last November with Graphic Mundi. Sleepless Planet, came out in November. I wanted to address insomnia as a serious health issue. I had been dealing with it for decades, as I said, and nobody had been able to help me. I'd been to various sleep doctors and clinics and was just super frustrated. I went down so many rabbit holes that I actually ended up with a certificate as an integrative nutrition health coach while I created this book, just kind of looking at every single angle. I love the way turning on the science-y part of my brain tickled, and I enjoyed going down, like I said, so many rabbit holes. At the same time, my background is cultural studies and not medicine. I wanted to look at this not just as an individual health issue, but also as a cultural phenomenon. So why are so many people having chronic sleep issues? They're currently at epidemic, or you could say pandemic proportions, with more than half of the world's population suffering from various forms of sleep disturbances and chronic insomnia. I also wanted to address how human hyperproductivity under industrial capitalism is affecting other species. So I came up with Kiki the koala as my non-human co-narrator. The comics form was once again perfect for this interweaving of embodied experiences, cultural medical histories, and then more than human worlds. This the structure of Sleepless Planet was also the 6-panel grid undergirding my layouts. I like that rigidity underneath that gives me this flexibility to move on top and then, of course, abandon the grid whenever that is called for, and just simply fill pages with art at certain times, like this image on the right, which is my chapter headers are in color like this, and this is one of them. On the left, you can see Misinformation, who is a fabulous drag queen who dispels some of the typical nutrition and wellness myths that have been propagated basically to make money by big agriculture and a big, pharmaceutical corporations and so forth. So I organized this graphic novel into sections by element: air, just breathe; fire, the metabolic furnace; earth, circadian rhythms; and water, the river teacher. This gave me 4 solid kind of containers to explore different approaches to sleeping better and a modular way to organize my research and my thoughts. I appreciate graphic medicine so much because it allows me to think through research while honoring my lived experience at the same time. One doesn't need to flatten the other. In fact, they work best, I think, when they're allowed to overlap. Narrative art does this naturally, of course, as I'm sure you all know already, and drawing is a brilliant form of research in itself, as it reconnects gestures, bodies, and hands with thought and the written word. So what these 2 projects share are that they both rest on embodied experience in connection with the more than human world. In both, I explore self in connection through time. I resist the urge to come to sweeping conclusions. Instead, I lead with curiosity, with questions, and I let the drawing and my memories inform me as much as the research and writing. I like to leave things open-ended. The process itself is an answer to the questions that haunt me: what it means to be in this human body at this time in the world. Mark making is pathfinding, mapping. Form emerges from thought, and thought in turn gives shape to panels and pages. One flow, countless outcomes. Through both the books I've discussed here, I invite readers to participate with me in making meaning. Again, how I work, before I start scripting or thumbnailing, I begin with open-ended meanderings in my visual journals. I give myself this space and plenty of time to allow ideas to just sort of percolate, for images and thoughts to emerge and cohere, somewhat at least, before committing them to form. I'm not even talking about conscious mind mapping and project planning, but active kind of daydreaming in the journal. The mind is a wild place filled with infinite potential, and I like to let that uncultivated wildness inform me first, It's much more interesting that way. And this is a journal spread I did on the ship coming from New York to Southampton a couple of months ago. Then later, projects begin to reveal their shape organically with ease and not pressure. Rather than scripting, I like to let images and dreams and liminal thought show me the way. I personally really love that early morning time when the night and dream mind is still a little bit on and the day brain hasn't fully kicked in yet. So I wanted to talk just a little minute about how I teach and do comics coaching, because that's a big part of my practice now too, and an important way for me to feel in community. Alongside my own practice, I work with a lot of cartoonists who are somewhere mid-project and often midlife. I apply my philosophy of making to teaching graphic medicine, graphic memoir, and other classes, and to individual coaching. Process for me is inseparable from finished product. The world that we live in tends to give preference to productivity over creativity and joyful ease. And for a long time, and this was something I was really looking at in Sleepless Planet, this book that I just showed you, and 2 pages that you see here are from that book as well. I'm still working on this. I felt that if I wasn't pushing myself, if I was actually taking my time and playing with ideas and materials and easily enjoying the process, I wasn't really actually working. Like, it didn't count unless it hurt. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm now more concerned with and much more excited about helping people slow down and have a sustainable creative practice. I've learned to respect my own body and to enjoy my life and practice, and I extend that respect to others. I love the community that my teaching and coaching have allowed me to enter and to help facilitate. I feel like being immersed in this incredible community of other makers of comics naturally gives rise to accountability too, because we want to show up with fresh work, and because it's ultimately our way as cartoonists of communicating and participating in something that's bigger than just ourselves. So people often come to my classes and coaching sessions with too many ideas, not being able to see the forest for the trees, or they're not sure where to get started, or they've done a ton of work already, but now they're stalled. So we gently untangle things and identify what's in the way, where their process is working well, and where it might need a little adjusting. So I teach a variety of courses. I have a year-long comics coven that's just started this year. That's really fun. And I've capped it at 13, like a coven, just to keep the size really intimate. And we have 2 sessions a month, one where we discuss a wonderful graphic novel and have a magnificent conversation about it and how it might apply to our work. And then the other, which is a studio coven session, that's all about practice and process and working on something and being able to share works in progress. And then I have various individual coaching options, and I teach a number of courses. Graphic medicine, I teach through the Sequential Artists Workshop too. Graphic medicine deep dive, graphic memoir, activist comics, visual journaling, and then Adobe software for graphic novelists. And I have in the works some courses for children and teens in, graphic medicine for children and teens. So that's all I've got. And please feel free to email me, find me here for any reason. I'm always happy to get emails from other creative people. That just brings me so much joy. If you want to get a newsletter from me, I send those out like once a month with classes and things that are going on, once a month or less. And I'm on Instagram as Maureen Burdock. It's pretty easy to find me because I named myself after the burdock plant. And so there really aren't a lot of burdocks, even though it sounds like a normal name. And Yeah, I have loved being here. Can't wait to hear the other speakers and look forward to your questions too. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us um, and attending this session. It really means a lot to me. My name's Rachel. I'm an artist, a writer, an architect, and I also make comics. Um, I was so interested in Maureen's talk because I feel that we really have a lot of, and I'll just go to the next slide. I feel that we really have a lot of commonalities in our thematic interests, in our interest in process, and also in some of the themes. And when I saw that you had used the braid as this kind of visual image, I was like, oh, wow, it looks like I've copied her because I'm going second. But I just wanted to draw this braid because I think that it was helpful for me to think about the threads in my work that have always been there and some new ones as well that have come up later in life. So my work is often interested in themes of the inner child or childhood in family life and culture. So like Maureen, my family history involves a lot of migration and moving around as well. But currently I live in Melbourne, Australia with my family. A new thread is matrescence, which is just a word given to describe the process of becoming a mother and of having a child. And it is very much like puberty, but a very not as not as kind and it's something that many people go through, but it's something that is very rarely spoken about. And that's something that has only come up for me as an interesting thread in the last year, really, because I guess it's because that's when I had a child, but it's something that I really like to read about in other people's work as well. Um, Another theme is relationships, especially romantic relationships and relationships gone bad is like a very salient theme for me. But the theme that I would like to talk about for this presentation is dreams and the dream world. And I really like that Maureen suggested it as a prompt for journaling to just write about a dream that you had in the present sense, because that drops you and the reader back into the dream. Um, and that can be a real keeping a dream diary for me has been this project that I've been keeping on and off since 2018. And it's just as Maureen said, this kind of great the journaling has become this great net to catch a lot of thoughts and dreams that I can just remember the tail of, and then use that as a jumping off point to make work, um, or to prompt new ideas. I think there's something about the dreams as a kind of to use them, the narrative logic and grammar of dreams is quite inspiring for me because I think it gives me license to speak about the autobiographical in a way that is not specifically about my life, but is quite codified, and to be quite dumb. Like I think that in my waking life, I'm someone who really overthinks things and is quite detail oriented, but in taking dreams as my prompt, I think it allows me to stick my hand in the bag um, of things that are silly or nonsensical or like embarrassing. In dreams, a lot of embarrassing things come up. I think a classic thing is, I was at school and then I looked down and I wasn't wearing any pants. So the dream diary has been an extended kind of exploration into those kind of ugly feelings, right? But it allows me to access them in a way that I can't in my waking life. So I thought that the best way for me to talk about this was to just read some work. These stories span I guess almost the last 10 years of my creative practice. And I started doing this when I was just getting into drawing comics. So I think it's quite interesting to look at how my drawing style has changed, my thematic interests have changed. But anyway, I'll just read you this strange dream. I was walking home at night and a guy on a bike rode past me. He was wearing a high-vis jacket, a helmet, but no pants. Ding ding. His butt was so pale it glowed in the moonlight. He did a loop and cycled back to flash me the front. But instead of privates, he just had a perfect replica of my face. It said, hello. Strange dream. So I think as well, when drawing these comics, I always kept them quite short, like 3 to 6 panels. And I tried to draw them very quickly as well, which gave me license to draw in a more loose way. So strange dream. We were both naked, trying to hold a spider between us. Greenhouse dream. I live in a greenhouse, and every night my lover visits me. I show him all the buds and flowers I tend to during the day. When day returns, the greenhouse becomes stiflingly hot. He goes, but I can never leave. So after a while of making these short comics, which described dreams, the story started to naturally get longer and longer. So I'll just read the beginning of this story, which I then turned into like a 60-page zine, which it's just about meeting a ghost. I fucked a ghost last night. I was inside her and she was in every part of me. I woke up when I felt the sun on my face. She was in the sunlight. I felt calm and happy, and she was in every part of me. I got up to make coffee, and she was in the coffee cup. I asked my new lover about her past lives. She's always lived in this house. And she has fucked everybody who ever lived in it. My housemates later confirmed this. The twin, the doppelganger, the replica, the mirror, the shadow, the understudy, the clone, the nemesis, the aggressor, the enemy, the interloper, the ghost. So yeah, that story just continues talking about this relationship between the protagonist and the ghost. And, as time went on, I think it wasn't so much about my dreams, and the voice of the dreamer, the querent, became more a character that I was constructing. And the next dream kind of based story I would like to talk about is called The Passenger. It's one of the stories in this new collection that I have out. Well, it came out last year, and it's called I Ate the Whole World to Find You. So it's a collection of 5 stories they're not all based on dreams. This one that I'm about to read is, but they're all kind of unruly kind of stories about ugly feelings, I guess, that are left unresolved. But I hope that as they layer on top of each other, and the stakes are raised in each story, that the reader finds that the stories build on each other to kind of come to a place around childhood and memory and the body, and the self as well. But I'll just read this story for you from the book, The Passenger. Whoosh! Going on long train rides with you. Huh? I retreat into some silent interior part of myself. God, I'm revolting. I truly despise myself. Hey, you even listening to me? I am wholly unlovable in every way. Sorry, what? Maxine wants to be a life coach. Oh, a life coach? Why can't you say, I love this cute little town. Can the train stop here forever? The train hurtles on without my permission. Yes, I mean, that's what I really want to do. but I need to raise $36,000 for a coaching course first. So I'm working in a cafe right now. Wow, that's a lot of money. Well, I've saved up about half of it now. Jesus, Jenny, do you need to be so negative? Can't you just be excited for her? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be discouraging at all. If this is what you want to do, that's cool. So tell me about it. What does a life coach do exactly? Huh, coming from you? And what exactly do you do? Okay, I was just asking an innocent question, not casting aspersions on Maxine's vocation. You're being so judgmental. Wow, can you just let Maxine speak? I find her interesting and I'd like to hear more about her. For example, why is she here and not any other place? Hmm. Maxine could really help you, Jenny. Whoa. I would love nothing more than to coach you, Jenny. I can tell you're lost by the way your eyes keep darting around. You're avoiding the present moment. In order to focus on the present, you need to live in the now. Notice the world around you. Practice gratitude for all the... Guys? Guys? I guess what I don't understand is what differentiates this from, say, what a therapist would do. Oh my God, Jenny, Jesus fucking Christ. Well, actually, it's quite different from that because not everyone wants to dwell on old traumas, Jenny. Some people want to move forwards in life. Sure, they have different foci. A life coach's job is to work with the client through systems of accountability and action steps to ensure the client is working towards meaningful life goals. A mental health professional's role is to provide diagnoses, treatment, and ongoing assistance with mental and emotional challenges. Woof, 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 woof. Woof, woof, woof. A coach may not provide treatment for mental health maladies, but rather assist the client in overcoming self-limiting mindsets and belief systems to provide opportunity for change and growth. Whoa, what is happening? I feel weird. More cheese, Gromit. Setting goals, building strategies, and taking action. Coaching is about taking control of your life. That's right! Trying to focus on reality. You can't keep living in the past. We've got to move onwards and upwards. Examining observable behaviors rather than things that only live in the mind. Wouldn't you agree, Gromit? No, I wouldn't. And who are you to give me advice? And where are we? Krrrk. Jenny? Crash! Ah! Skrrr. Ah! The power to change is within you. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Try laying out your outfit the night before. Please, no. Don't forget to breathe. Yoga changed my life. Live each day as if it were your last. Honk, honk. I'm gonna be honest. I don't love your new girlfriend. Oh, yeah? Well, fortunately, you and your stupid fucking opinions are of absolutely no consequence whatsoever. Unless you did this. What? How? How could I have done this? I don't control the trains. This is just another thinly veiled attempt to make me feel sorry for you. You are an absolute bastard, you know that? Whenever I try to talk to you, to speak honestly, you accuse me of trying to drag feelings out of you. Exactly. You keep trying to manipulate my emotions. I just want you to acknowledge my feelings. I want you to be present for a single fucking second of our goddamn lives. Honk, honk, honk. Wait! Crash. Yesterday is history. Today is a mystery. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Running away from your problems is a race you'll never win. Oh. Mm. Oh. Oh. Oh God. Ow. I've broken something. Can can we talk? It would be better if it would be better if we kept moving. Please? Now you want to talk? Yes. Is that too much to ask? Fine. Are you happy now? No? Now we're totally lost, and it's dark and cold, and it's all your fault. I'm sorry. I didn't want things to end like this either. Jesus fucking Christ. You are you have absolutely no self-awareness. You know that, right? You won't be happy until everyone is as lost and miserable as you are. I just missed you, and I wanted to see you. Wow, Christ. So you did all this? I did this? Could I do something else? Yes. Rip. Ow. Huh. Huh. Hmm. Wait. Where are you going? I'm sorry. Stop. Wait. We'll die out here. Move. Move. Meow. Oh, it's you. I'm sorry. There's nothing for me here. I can't stay here. I gotta go. We gotta go. Let's move. We gotta go now. Spring thonk. Um, so yeah, that's a longer story that was prompted by a dream, but then it kind of turned into a whole other thing. Anyway, I thought that I would end the presentation by just reading one of my most recent dreams that deals with recent anxieties. Um, okay, after being born a kind of lumpen chimera, you my child's form flickers and morphs over time, eventually settling in the shape of a baby tiger. He grows into a fearsome and beautiful brawler, a true prince of the concrete jungle, and you might hear him now. With flashing eyes and sharp shining teeth, he avenges me against those who harass and belittle me. Get him. I have created the guardian I always wanted, a manifestation of my tears and rage. I raise him to be an upright and polite citizen. Nevertheless, he is quick to the barricades. Just popping out for a minute, Mum? And will not back down from battle. Impervious to pepper spray, he fights the brutality of the state and defends the people. My indefatigable darling. And yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Hello everyone. Hi. Yeah, so I'm Jade. It's really nice to meet you. Thanks so much for having me. So I'm going to talk to you about the comics I kind of self-published. I've got them all here, a big wedge of them. And zines. I make they're kind of scrappy, funny, hopefully. So I'm just to set the scene, I'm talking to you from my flat in South East London. I'm on my desk with my horrible work computer looming over me, but I normally just write in, well, do comics in bed on my iPad because I get cold. So yeah, got it here. But so what I was going to do was do a little slide presentation about the stuff I've made, but also uh, how I got into comics, the kind of stuff it's led to as well. I did like a live comics reading, so I'll do a bit of a demo of that and yeah, introduce myself a bit. So, I don't know, this bit I'm scared of trying to like share things and it all going wrong. Ooh. Is that okay? Great. So yeah, hi. So I'm Jade. I'm from Portsmouth. I tend to make, sorry, technical malfunction. Make comics and zines and what else do I make? Oh, well, yeah, put a few pictures there. So kind of do some painting as well, but obviously I'll mostly be talking about the comics today. Bit of photography, bit of band stuff, doing singing, well, shouting in a band, and yeah, recently I've been making these little concrete pots, so maybe I'll get into ceramics. I don't know. But yeah, so well, I've got a day job in sort of editorial arts website stuff, and I did art and creative writing at university, which was ages ago now. But I've always tried to keep up drawing as a thing to do in between working and sleeping, so I don't feel like I'm going losing my mind. and I feel like I was keeping up something creative outside of work. And I think drawing, the beauty of drawing is it's cheap. You can do it anywhere. You don't need a studio. You can just keep your pens by the side of your bed. I've got mine in my rude mug that's too good to throw away. The handle broke off. Um, so yeah, I didn't really, at university, I think I made a comic, but then I didn't really think about comics for a really long time until, well, I was kind of making all these drawings, and I think this one's of a I don't know, humor is quite important to me, I guess, when I'm doing drawings and stuff. So this was like a YouTube video I really loved called Graphic Dog Vom about a dog that's sick. Anyway, it's like food things comes up all the time, and making use of like text and just saving like funny things that I found to draw later. Like every day of my life. I remember I was living in a shared house, and every single time I went to use the toilet, there was just a big gnarly pube on the toilet seat, and it's like if I don't laugh, I'll cry. So I'm kind of saving up stuff like that. So my friend he was like in my drawings I was doing, and he was like, "Why don't we go to comics club? I've seen this course at City Lit. We could go together." So we went to that, and it was really great. It was run by a guy called Matt Boyce. He was so lovely, and he's still really supportive and nice, like a comics educator. And just really simple things like how to use a dip and ink pen, or just told me what Bristol board was. If you don't know what Bristol board is, it's a lovely thick paper that you could draw a pencil on and then ink over the top. And then when you rub the pencil out, it disappears completely and there's no horrible marks. So, opened up my eyes to materials. So I did a comic there. This was like 2 big pages of about this sort of haunting that happened in the Isle of Man. Jeff, the talking mongoose. If you're into like ghosts and weird British stuff, like it's really, really good. I recommend having a look. He was a kind of weird malevolent spirit. He used to torment this family. Uh, yeah, so I think Matt, the comics course guy, he invited me to my first comics fair. There I am sitting behind my table with my first comics I made. And I made a Pokemon bag as well, which I tried to draw all the Pokemon from memory and put it on a bag. But anyway, I had some bits to sell and was just kind of trying to keep my aura in with a bit of comic stuff. So this donuts one was about this woman that I saw who was selling donuts on the South Sea seafront and like picking at her eye. It was really gross. I loved her. Uh, yeah, and so I wanted to make a kind of slightly longer coloured comic. As an example, I thought I'd talk about this summer holiday one. It was based on well, sort of like around memories of growing up in Portsmouth and like mooching around, but it kind of has a bit of added element of magic mushrooms and a bit of like clairvoyance as well. Why not? So, but I think I wanted to include this because I was quite happy with I don't know when you look at something you made a really long time ago and you think, "Oh, I don't know if I could make that now." So I put loads of time into it, but I scanned in what I used to do was draw on paper and pencil pen, sorry, rub it out, scan it into my computer, my really old computer, and have a kind of tablet hooked up to it. Basically, draw the whole thing again because I'm so messy. Get the lines, fill them in with scanned in paper. So I used to paint watercolor paper in different colors, scan it in, use that as the colors, and like fill in the gaps. So like where her jumpers are kind of blue and splashy, that's just like a piece of watercolor paper that's been almost like cut out digitally. But yeah, I was quite happy with it really, I think. Some other stuff. Oh yeah, so collaboration. I've started collaborating with people. So my friend Celia, she's really funny. She was writing these stories about kind of like based on her childhood, like the invisible eggs around basically being a bit of a smart aleck at school and getting told off for winning well, not winning an Easter egg competition, but yeah, so we kind of teamed up and she drew well, no, sorry, she wrote the story and I drew the pictures. And I think, yeah, the collaboration element was really happy for me. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Really good thing for me, I think. I really like doing it. I wanted to start a zine about food. You can probably notice there's been lots of food pictures popping up. So I think food's really interesting. I always have like interesting, weird conversations with people about food. Well, not even that weird. I think I'd really be happy right now if we just stopped the presentation and we all said what we were going to have for dinner. Like I'd be enthralled for some reason. But yeah, I put a call out for people to send in bits and pieces and trying to prioritize the comics. So yeah, I was really happy with it. So Weird Canteen, there's 3 issues now, and they're a mixture of comics and drawing and writing, and I selfishly got to include my own comics in there as well. I'm allowed because I make it. So this one, Bernadette, it's loosely around food. So when you have a housemate that has very strange food habits, it could be that because, she has a magic stopwatch that pauses time. So yeah, it's very loosely based around food. The other ones are about digestion and eggs as well. The digestion one, people either love it or they hate it. So yeah, depends on your sense of humor. But uh, where are we? Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk about the longest series I've done, which is called Tina and Brittany, and it's about mermaid sisters. So this all started, I think I drew this picture as a calendar that I tried to make for somebody. Just the image of like 2 sisters. One has got a fish head, obviously, one's got a normal kind of mermaid body. So sorry, I had notes to read out so I didn't just blab. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, the idea is that Tina is a sort of downtrodden, shy, has low self-esteem fish girl, and her sister Brittany is quite pretty, but she's really horrible to her. And I guess I think it's been done before, the idea of like, oh, mermaids, they may be hot, but do they have genitals? I don't know. I think it's like come up in lots of different ways, but that it's also quite a fun backdrop to talk about things like teen angst and awkward kind of humiliating experiences that you have as a teen. I think a lot of the kind of horrible things that happened to Tina happened to me when I was a teen. So it's like a sort of slacker comedy, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think the kind of backdrop of it being under the sea is quite freeing because I'm always finding out about gross under the sea things that are really terrifying, like the stargazer fish. Ooh, it just pokes its little face out from the sand. So yeah, it's a very inspiring place, I think, under the sea, and also it's quite it's almost like a sort of Wild West, isn't it? Like no one really knows what goes on down there all the time, so anything can be down there. There's lots of space. It's a kind of wilderness that you could get lost in. People could be driving cars under there. I don't know, they're not, but yeah, so it's quite a fertile place to set a comic to. Um, and yeah, I was going to talk about a live comics reading I did. So I think actually one of the other people who did the comics reading might have been on the call earlier. Peony Gent. Hello, hello, if you're watching still. So the idea was that we had a projector up in the cartoon museum, and you can present your comics in any kind of way you want to. And so I thought because Tina and Brittany is quite it's very narrow, there's not really much text in it apart from them speaking. And it's can be, well, the stories are kind of short, so I could do a self-contained presentation of Tina and Brittany party hard. Yeah, but I tried to make it entertaining, so I had a kind of trashy mermaid outfit and I made a gross wig out of seaweed and sea creatures, but I really mistimed putting the wig on and it just looked awful. I looked like a kind of hag, and but that's fine. That kind of added to it really. Um, I'll kind of, yeah, I'll do a sort of semi-demo, but also talk over it at the same time. But yeah, the most exciting thing I thought I could make for it was a soundboard on my iPad. There's a free app. So I downloaded lots of sounds. I don't know if this will work, but it's like ocean noises. Turn it off. It's
Sorry,
probably just sounds like
I should have asked you because I haven't got the sound thing turned on Zoom, so we didn't hear that. So
that's okay. I can just, it's more just telling you about it really. So I was going to talk over the top anyway. So yeah, Tina and Brittany party hard. I think part of the fun of it as well was kind of thinking about timing and pacing with comics. So I don't know if you're like me, when I get a comic that I'm really enjoying, I might race through it too quickly when you read it and you think, oh, I didn't really look at the pictures long enough. And you have to go back and try and time yourself a little bit more. So it was fun to think about, oh, we could slow it down and talk to people. And I could start by being like, oh, we meet our friend Tina, who has emerged from the ocean, and then there'd be seagull sounds in the background. Yeah, I think Rachel did this so well earlier. There's no way I'm going to be able to do anything as good. But yeah, so here we go. There's a kind of bubbling sound effect I had as well. So her sister Brittany emerges from the ocean and flips her off. Most of the sound effects, to be honest, I think I counted and they were mostly toilet based, so there was a lot of like fart sounds anyway. It was a fun challenge to put it together. You could do the voices as well. Is that him? I don't know. He said to meet here, follow the chain up. So yeah, splashing. Imagine more ocean sounds. I don't know. Ew, Tina! Yeah, so I'll stop that there, but that's the kind of vibe. Yeah, and so I've made loads of them now. I think if I put them together, they'd be about 200 pages. So yeah, it's got quite long. I think they get better as they go on as well. The last two, The Visitor, they have a good like body horror element to them. And yeah, what was I going to say? I can't remember. Oh yeah, the live reading, really fun because I think part of it was like when I guess if you're a comics maker, a lot of the time you're spending a lot of time by yourself in your room making your comics, but it was really nice to have people reacting. It probably helped that they were selling little beers as well because people were getting a little bit drunk and excited and going like and laughing. And my friend said they heard somebody be like, "Oh, I hate Brittany, she's awful," and stuff. So it's nice that just this silly kind of character they came up with has caused this live reaction in people. So it's really good, really fun to do. So yeah, other stuff I've been working on is I made a kind of comic sketchbook. I've called it a comic sketchbook, but it's more just like scrappy mixtures of things. So like autobio comics and very similarly, there's a theme here. I mean, I didn't get the memo about the braids, sorry, but the dreams theme is there. So, and the insomnia theme as well. I think I've done a few little comics in here about dreams and not being able to sleep. But I was mainly making these for sort of Instagram. I have a bit of a weird relationship with Instagram, I think now. I'm trying to like wean myself off it, but it could potentially be such a good place for comics makers. Like when I follow my friends who make comics, it's really exciting. It's a really perfect format to flick through and see the panels. But obviously, it's completely terrible now. It's just like horrible adverts for stuff that you'd never be interested in, and it's really hard to see your friends' stuff. But I think for a while it was almost quite a fruitful thing to do, like just make these really scrappy, like almost marker pen comics and just publish them and get them out there. But yeah, I'm having a slightly, I don't know, problematic relationship now with it. I think now I've compiled a lot of them and I've made some new ones as well to go in this comic sketchbook. It's like, yeah, time to not really focus on it as much. So I've been trying to go back to pen on paper and stuff and like, yeah, start with the materials. Going from sort of, well, also I'm working like full time at the moment as well, and I used to be 4 days a week. I really miss it. I used to spend my day off every week, like just drawing comics, and now I'm like, I don't know when people who work all the time make stuff. But yeah, I've been sort of like going back to older ideas because I just don't really have the time to think about stuff as much anymore. So this Noel and his old parents is based on the TV personality Noel Edmonds. And I just thought he's quite a tragic figure. I remember me and my friend who went to the comics club like all those years ago. It was an idea that we came up with together about Noel being this kind of like gross guy who lives with his parents and he has these dreams that they're orbs and they just tell him off all the time. So I won't read it out, but he puts a pencil down his penis and then his mum tells him off. I don't know what to do with these things. Like these things, oh, just make them. But now I'm having to present them to everyone. I feel a bit ashamed. Yeah. And yeah, doing some other less gross things as well. So uh, just more, again, kind of thinking about that idea of like not really having any time and just wanting to make something and feeling frustrated that I can't think of a really long narrative to work on. So I've been trying to challenge myself to do these 1 page on Bristol board kind of surreal comics or ones that don't really have to make sense. I think like the one on the right, for example, that wasn't just I was thinking in the shower like, oh, I have a day today where I could do some comics, but I don't know what to do a comic about. And then I found myself doing this thing where I hose down the hose down the shower when I'm supposed to be like showering myself. I was like, why do I do that? I don't know. But yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, that's my shop website. Please follow me if you want on the horrible Instagram. Maybe we'll move somewhere else one day and it'll be nice. But yeah, I think I wanted to ask really, I know there's a bit of Q&A time and stuff, but so I've never had anything published. I've never tried to get anything published. I've never sent anything anywhere. But I was really grateful to be asked to do this because it sort of made me look back through all of the stuff I've made and get this big wad of comics together. It made me realize like, yeah, I've done a lot and it's not very cohesive a lot of the time. But I don't know, I have this kind of tension in my mind about self-publishing because I think self-publishing is amazing. Like we're so lucky in London, I think, to have like Gosh Comics who buy small press stuff and sell it for you, and loads of amazing comic fairs, people trying really hard to make stuff happen in the comics communities. So I'm like, no, self-publishing is amazing. It's so good. Like, why bother publishing anything like with a publisher? But then I think, oh, actually, maybe it would be really good as well. I don't know. But yeah, that was everything I had to say. So thanks very much.